The heat is on, the pressure is going up. What are you going to do? Today is Not So Wacky Wednesday. What if you were to listen to the voice that's telling you, play more, have fun, don't pay attention to what's happening over there, play more, have fun. What do you want to do? What if you were to give that voice more credence than the other voice that's saying, you need to work, you need to pay your bills, you need to pay your taxes, you need to be serious, you need to put your head down, you need to move forward, it doesn't matter what you feel. What if we were to give more credence to that I'm going to say bigger part of us? I am even going to equate it, like I've tried to do this in a couple of videos. It doesn't totally translate, but it's like our right brain are the feminine ideals of flow and play and harmony and peace. And I'm going to also go back to Jung, who said that instead of letting the ego lead us, we let our spirit or soul lead us, and the ego is in service to the soul or the spirit. What if we were to do that? So this is Not So Wacky Wednesday, because although these ideas seem a little bit crazy based on the world that we're living in, the world that we're living in is not working, clearly. And it's becoming louder and louder that it's not working, that we need to do something different. But doing something different, listening to our spirit and allowing that to guide us, goes against everything in the world. So it's scary. I'm going to tell you my own personal experience right now at this very moment, because I am being called to lead this. I chose to also. It's just what I'm here for, I think. I believe it's what I'm here for, because it's what gives me courage and passion, and what helps me get up when I'm scared. I have nothing in my calendar. I have like very few things in my calendar for the next couple of weeks, and no form of payment on the horizon. The form of payment that I was receiving, there were two avenues. One of them I closed, and the other one I'm about to close because it's not working. So I'm not getting that flow anyway. I have everything that I have inside me, all of my experience and knowledge, and I have some little ideas of where I'm going, but the road is not mapped out anymore. And I don't know. I know that this road is closing. And I've gotten myself on another course of perhaps being a spiritual life coach. But that road is not been paved yet. I'm working on paving it. So it's really frightening what's happening in my life right now, but I am being guided by spirit. And I'm being shown that this is not going to work, and it's not going to work because it's no longer aligned with me. It doesn't align with me to be a marriage and family therapist anymore. I have to let it go, but I'm scared because that's my source of income. So if I am to let that go, how am I going to support myself? And my spirit's saying to me, let it go, let it go, let it go. You'll be shown the way. And that seems really crazy, right? Except that every time that this has happened to me, I have listened. Sometimes it takes me longer, and I have been shown the way. Just last year, I was wondering where I was going to live. I was looking at different places and nothing was working out. Everything, I needed to get out of my house. So I got myself an Airbnb for 3 months, just to get 2 or 3 months, I think it was, to get out of my house. I think it was 2 months. But when I got to the Airbnb, it was all moldy. and mildew. And I was like, I can't stay here. And my kids were like, we can't stay here. And so I was like, what? I have to get out. And Spirit kept telling me, God kept telling me, you're going to get, don't worry, your house is going to appear. You don't even need to look. It will come to you, is what I was told. And you know what? It was, that's what happened. My friend called me and I was telling her what happened, and that I was getting a divorce and I didn't know where I was going to go, but he wanted to keep the house and then he wanted to keep the other property. And so he was going to pay me for the other property. And so I was going to have some money, but I didn't, like, that was all that I had. And I wasn't making enough money to be able to support myself. So I was like, I have to really invest this money, so that I can make this keep working for me. And my friend told me, I know somebody who's going to be selling their house, and I'm going to tell them that you want it. And that happened in July of last year. And then when I went to the house, they were basically going to sell it to the highest bidder. So I was like, it's not my house, I guess. And I started to get a little attached to it. It was so cute. And then I was like, okay, I guess it's not my house. And then right around this time, my friend called me and she said, they're going to sell you the house. He wants you to make an offer. So I went back to the house and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, this house needs a lot of work. And I'm like, this is all I'm willing to offer. And I didn't have anyone who was going to be able to do that work. You know, like, I was going to have to hire people and that was going to cost money. So I was like, okay, this is what money I have. This is what I have to work with. And I just did it. And I bought, the house came to me just like God or Spirit had said. And then I just did it. And then I met my boyfriend at karaoke. And it turned out that he was a carpenter and he actually was able to help me with my house. So just like God or Spirit had said to me, I was guided intuitively. I heard things through different avenues, but I knew it was speaking to me because you can feel it and if you're aligned, you can feel it. If you're not aligned, you're also getting messages that you're not aligned. So I have learned to trust, because every time I do, it works out, and it works out even better than I had thought or planned, because it's my little ego thinking and planning, and it doesn't have the whole picture, but we do have access to it through our spirit, through our right brain. We have access to that knowledge from Spirit, and Spirit or God being everything all connected, the higher picture. So even though we can't see things out there in the real world, we don't see it. I don't see it in my calendar. I don't see how I'm going to support myself. I don't see it. I know, and I'm hearing that it will be provided. And of course, there's a big part of me that's freaking out right now and like scared as hell. And I'm attending to that part. I'm not pushing it down. I'm listening to it. I'm staying with it. I'm allowing it to feel what it needs to feel. And I'm trying to just trust in that bigger picture that it's coming, that it will, it's coming, that the road will appear at the right time. And I think that's the new way of being in the world that we are being guided to. That we are being guided to listen to our spirit, our inner wisdom, our intuition, our inner guidance. And how do you get there? One of the ways that you can get there is through meditation, through quiet, through silence. Anytime, it doesn't have to be meditation necessarily. It could be walks out in nature. When you have that silence, it speaks to you. And this morning I woke up with like this vision of looked like a psychiatrist's office, and it was an older man and then a woman, an older woman. And the older man was just talking, sitting in his chair, just talking to probably the psychiatrist or somebody. And the woman was like unconscious next to him. And he's just going right along talking, doesn't even notice her. And she's unconscious. And for me, that was like, how do we silence and render unconscious this part of us that is so alive and speaking to us all the time? If you watch, there's some videos on left brain, right brain. The one, My Stroke of Insight by Jill Bolte Taylor, is a TED Talk where she talks about her experience of having a stroke in her left brain. So she only had access to her right brain, which is that spiritual side that connects to everything. So that's a really interesting video. I highly recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it already. It is that what we have access to that. We do have access to that, but we shut it down and we render it unconscious. But we could make it conscious. We could we could allow it to speak to us. It doesn't speak in the language or the voice that we would think, although sometimes it can do that too. But if we give it space to guide us, we could live amazing lives. Can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine like working, but actually having fun, like at your job? Like if we all allowed our spirits to be here, I'm just calling it spirits. I guess you could call it your soul or your higher self. Because spirit or God is everything in flow and connected. But if we all allowed for that connection, that oneness, what might the world be like? You know, you could have fun at work, like you could have fun at school. If we allowed that voice to have as much credence as the other voice that's telling us, you have to be serious, you have to be productive, you have to go to work, you have to do the dishes, you know, like you have to have fun, you have to play, you have to dance, you have to sing. You have to be free. That's it.